right. Right, and we're live. So welcome everybody to April 9th meeting. Again, I'm glad you all are here. We're kind of on the cusp of having our spring break. So after this, I hope you all get your well-deserved rest. As always, for any members of the public, our agenda is posted on this link right here, if you're able to get to it. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get right to business then. So I will call this meeting to order at 12:05 p.m. April 9th. We'll go ahead and do a roll call as always to make sure everybody's here and to establish quorum. So I'm going to go ahead and jump over to this sheet here and zoom way in so you can see. And yeah, I'll go ahead and call your name, and Victoria here, who is our secretary, will mark you as here. So amend.
Here.
Thank you. Academic Support Club.
Here.
Active Minds. Alpha Gamma Sigma.
Here.
Armenian Students Association.
Armenian Student Association is here.
Thank you. Business Coalition. Is Business Coalition here? No? Okay, Caduceus Club.
Sorry,
Is-
Caduceus Club is here.
Okay, thank you. CARP.
Here.
Catholic Student Fellowship.
Catholic Student Fellowship is here.
Okay. Chinese Students and Scholars Association.
Here.
Christians on Campus.
Here.
Circle K International.
Here.
Club Italia. Is Club Italia here? No? College Leap. College Leap. No. Cosmo Club.
Here.
Dana Club.
Here.
Thank you. Debating Society. Is Debating Society here? No? Okay. Diagnos.
Here.
First. Is First here? No. French Club. Is French Club here? No. Okay. Green Lancer Club. Is Green Lancer Club here? No. Haunting Hour. Is Haunting Hour here? International Christian Fellowship.
Here.
InterVarsity Christian Fellowship.
Here.
Japanese Social Club.
Here.
Lancer Motorsports.
Here.
Mind and Meditation Club. Mind and Meditation Club. No. Omicron Mu Delta. OMD. No. Paralegal Association.
Yes.
Corporate Finance Club.
Here.
Okay. Global Club and Victoria, if you could just overwrite that box for me. Global Club.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Philosophy Club.
Here.
Pie Club.
Here.
Pineapple Hospitality. Pineapple Hospitality. No. Pre-Law Club. Is Pre-Law Club here? No. Psychology Club.
Here.
Thank you. Puente Club.
Here.
Queer Alliance.
Present.
Registered Nursing Club.
Here.
Rising. Rising, formerly known as UW. No. Sackness.
Here.
Is Fencing Club here? And if they're here, you can overwrite it. Victoria. Fencing Club. No. Okay, She Codes.
Here.
Ship.
Here.
Simba.
Here.
SWE, Society of Women Engineers.
Present.
SCTA.
Here.
Third Wave.
Here.
Ujima.
Here. Here.
Thank you. And Veterans Club. If you're here. Okay, and did I miss anybody? Okay, so Peggy from Pineapple Hospitality is here, so we could, Victoria, just scramble up and mark them as here.
Looks like OMD's here as well.
OMD is also here. Okay. Did I miss anybody? Did anybody just pop in here or have technical issues? No? Yes? Okay, I'm just gonna copy this column here real quick. Bear with me while I check if we have quorum. And then we'll get started once I do that. But I usually you never know. So let me do that. See. Okay, we have 37 people here out of 51. Yep, we are comfortably in quorum. All right. So thank you for that. Yes, we have established quorum. So next thing we're going to do, as always, is to approve the agenda for today's meeting. Today's meeting is going to be quite a bit short because I know you all are eager for your spring break, but here it is. As always, I sent this to you in your emails earlier this week on Monday. So as for our items, there is going to be a club chartering and club dechartering item today, unfortunately, but I'll go over that and we'll get there. Discussion items, there are just two. One is elections, and I just want to keep pushing that. You'll see that as a pretty often item that's going to be added, and just a bit of ICC training. So if there are any questions or concerns, you can let me know. But other than that, if there are no concerns, I would like to go ahead and now entertain our motion to approve the agenda for April 9th. Do I have a first?
Ship first.
Thank you, Ship. And is there a second from anybody?
Catholic Student Fellowship seconds.
Okay, thank you, Catholic Student Fellowship. And are there any opposed to that motion? Are there any abstentions to that? And please, if there's any, just unmute yourself and state as such. No? All right, well, thank you. Motion has been approved unanimously then. Okay, so next is our minutes from the previous meeting, which was March 26th, and I sent this to you earlier this week as well. So what did we talk about at the previous meeting? It seems so long ago. Okay. So we talked about elections. We chartered Dana Club, Business Coalition, and Mind and Meditation Club. And we did not decharter people because I wanted to give people a little bit of an out before we did that. And we talked about a couple of these items, but are there any questions, concerns about what happened at the last meeting, especially if people weren't there? No? Okay, well, at this time then, I'd like to go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the agenda from March 26th meeting. Do I have a first?
Cosmo Club first.
Thank you, Cosmo Club. Do I have a second?
Ship second.
Thank you, Ship. And are there any opposed to that? Any abstentions to that motion? Awesome. Well, it looks like our minutes have also been approved unanimously, so let's get this show on the road then. All right, so first up is my executive board report. As always, I just want to recognize that we are performing this meeting today on a native land of the Hahamanga tribe and just honoring those that came before us. Just want to remind you all that yes, there is a funding meeting later on today. That meeting has been posted to Lancer Life. So if you want to join us, please go to Lancer Life and open up that link. It's also been added to the Google Calendar that I've been sending you all weekly. So if you want to go ahead and watch as we go through the process of approving funding, I think there's only one request today, so it'll be a pretty quick meeting. You're more than welcome to do that. I'll talk about this more later on in the meeting, but there is an optional ICC training for today at 2 p.m. So pretty much right after the meeting. It's going to be on how to market your club, and our VP of Public Relations, Felicius, will be there directing that meeting. So I recommend you all come if you can make the time. I think there's going to be a lot of helpful information to try and get more participation in your events this semester. As a reminder, campus is open in a limited fashion. If you need to come in and just want a quiet place to study, it's going to be in the Creveling Lounge. And the way you go ahead and get there is you have to go ahead and book an appointment, and you'll be let in. I haven't visited that site yet to see how often students are using it, but from what I heard, there's a lot of empty space in there. So I recommend you all, especially as we're getting into midterms or are pretty much in midterms right now, to go ahead and take advantage of that space. There's free Wi-Fi, there's restrooms available, and there's free parking. So really, I urge you all, if you need a quiet place to come into campus and study in Creveling. And last thing here, I know it's a little bit last minute, but I wanted to remind you all that there is a flea market scholarship due Sunday. And let me kind of clarify what that means, a flea market. So as you may or may not know, PCC, when we were in person, we would have a flea market, I think every first Sunday of the month, and all the money that, that's raised from that goes back into students and for student needs. So a part of that budget is allocated to give you all scholarships. And because all of you are pretty much in a leadership position here, either as part of a club or part of an extracurricular activity, you have an in, right? Like you're on like kind of that you're on a little bit of a step forward in terms of other students who are applying to a scholarship. I urge you all to apply. I sent that link to you earlier this week in your email, so please, please, please apply. I believe the reward for each scholarship, if you win one, is $1,000. So really, it's free money. Please, please go apply. There's a scholarship offered for leadership. So that's one. And there's also a scholarship that's offered for volunteerism. So if you're volunteering in the community, please also apply to that. And I believe there's one more scholarship. I don't know if it's out yet, but it's the entrepreneurship scholarship. So if you were starting a small business at this time, or you kind of paved your own path in terms of making money and you want to share that, you can apply for that scholarship and get some seed money for your business. But yes, it's due Sunday, so please apply. I'm gonna click through the link if I added it correctly. Yes. So I said this earlier to you this week, but I'll copy and paste it in the chat. This will take you to the PCC Foundation website. You're gonna go ahead and sign in with your Lancer Point ID, or I believe you need to create an account if you haven't created one yet. But yes, this is what that scholarship is. So please, please, I urge you all to apply. Okay, advisor comments, Carrie.
Yes, hi. I'm going to see if I can do this. I wanted to show the 3 slides. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Chris, can I share?
Yeah, I made you co-host.
Okay. All right, so hopefully this comes up. Okay, can you all see that? Is that the slide? Is that, Chris, can you see it?
I can see it.
Okay, so as Chris said earlier, I mentioned elections. I really can't emphasize it enough. If you're interested in just even checking out what AS does, we're in the middle of election, so now's the time to sign up. And you may ask yourself, what do you do as AS? Part one, you only see 1/12 of that with Chris. There are actually 12 positions. And there's a variety of skill sets that are required. The main thing is that we want people like you who are involved in clubs to step it up a notch and become involved on a larger level. So if you want to be more involved in campus, if you want to get to meet new people, and that includes faculty and staff. A lot of students have made some really good relationships with faculty and based on the communities and that they work in. And it's a really great opportunity to build leadership skills. As part of AS, you get to network with students across the state. And it looks like this year that we might actually get to do some travel. So we're very excited about that. So really just want to say to you that, there's a lot of perks. There's a lot of responsibilities. If you're interested in running, there are 12 positions. They range from campus activities. So you do all the fun things like the bouncy houses and the pizza giveaways and the movies, to Academic Senate, where Academic Affairs, where you sit on Academic Senate with your professors and you help dictate college policy that happens in the classroom. You can be involved in student services. So those are the folks that do student health services. They're the ones that do counseling. So they directly work with those departments, international students, to help shape policy and help let them know that students are out there. So AS is really your voice to the admin. So if you're interested in doing things like this, I'd encourage you to think about it. Think of it like a year-long internship where you're actually working in a governmental system that really makes change for campus. Of course, one of the positions is Chris. You would run ICC. Really do need someone who and Chris can tell you he saw what was going on and he said, hey, I can do this. I can do this. I can bring my organizational skills and make this run. And so if you're sitting back thinking, hey, I can do this, even if you're not thinking, no way in the world could I do this, I'm going to challenge you to say yes. If you have an interest in doing this, we can help you. We can teach you those skills that you need to have. Not everyone coming into these positions is a 100% bona fide skilled leader out of the box. Everyone comes in, everyone needs training, everyone needs to learn. Really, it's a great challenge for you all. So I encourage you, if you haven't yet gone, sign up, go to lancerlife.pasadena.edu, go to forms. You should see right there, there's going to be, that's where there's going to be a link to the form, and that will help you. Once you fill that form out, it'll let you go to the Canvas page and you'll be there with the rest of the people who are interested in running. Just because you sign up doesn't mean that you have to run, but I'm really encouraging you to if you're just of an inkling of an interest, sign up, complete the form, and take spring break to look at it. We basically ask you to fill in some forms for us and to write a candidate statement and tell us why you want to run, and then we can help you with the rest. Just so you know, again, if you're interested in running, what do students do? Again, you represent the needs of student needs of the college. You advise them on funding priorities. AS students actually really get to dictate where a large amount of money goes. There's quite a bit of budgeting that goes on. So if you want to get your hands in that, if you're an accounting major, or you have that sort of interest, again, think about that. We have someone who does the business. And we have someone, like I said, we have business, we have Chris, we have the president, we have a student trustee. You sit on the trustee with the rest of the elected trustees, and that has a lot of statewide implications in terms of programming and activities across the state. So I can't go on enough. It's just a really awesome opportunity for you to get to know other people, to build some skills, to really say that you made a difference in the lives of other students. So again, if you're interested, lancerlife.pasadena.edu, go to forms, sign up for something called register of intent to run. I'll be around. If you have any other questions, just let me know. So thank you, Chris.
All right, thank you, Carrie. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. All right, so up next, we have a public comment on non-agenda items. I know to YouTube, there's a little bit of a lag, but I don't see anything currently. I'll bring it up if there's anything, but we'll move on for now. Okay, any super quick ICC announcements? I know it's spring break next week, but do you all have any events or activities you want to let other clubs know about? This is your opportunity, so I'll give you all a few moments to unmute and if you have anything. Nope.
Armenian students, are you all here? Do you want to talk about your events?
Hello. Yes, we have a talent show coming up. We'll let know how to apply and stuff like that, and I'll be letting the people know on the next meeting.
Thank you. I know you've got a lot of good stuff coming up, so I don't want folks to miss out on that.
All right, thank you, Armenian Students Association. Is there anybody else that has any upcoming things?
The Japanese Social Club, we're setting up a Cherry Blossom Festival event on Zoom, and that will be taking place on the 30th of April. So I believe at 12. So please join us if you guys want to.
Awesome, sounds fun. Anybody else that has anything exciting that they want to share that's coming up with their club? No, not even one more? All right, I'll go ahead and move on then. All right, so action items. So there are two clubs that are supposed to be chartered today. Unfortunately, they weren't here, as Victoria has put on the roll sheet for me. So we will not be chartering these two people today. If you know anybody in these two clubs, please let them know to come. They do have Lancer Live pages right now, but at this point, because they're not officially chartered, we're kind of on the fence about keeping them on the platform. So Victoria, for your notes, just make sure to state that there was no action taken on this item, but I'll go ahead and move on for now since they didn't show up. All right. Next is kind of the big unfortunate item, which is club dechartering. There are two clubs that are up for dechartering today because according to our bylaws, the ICC bylaws, they have already reached the absence threshold, which is 3. You can only miss up to 3 meetings and then you're kind of up for the dechartering process. So there are two clubs today, Global Club and Ujima Club, who are up for dechartering. If any of you from either club wants to kind of speak on behalf of your club about, I mean, I don't want to get too personal and I really don't like this process. I know it's kind of painful for a lot of people, but if you want to talk about why you've been missing meetings, you can go ahead and do that. And then the rest of the group, we can go ahead and, if the sentiment is there, we can go ahead and make a motion. But for now, is there anybody from either of those two clubs? Global Club, Ujima Club, I know you're here.
Yes, so we unfortunately we weren't sent any emails of the ICC like with like Zoom links. We weren't sent with like any of the Zoom links or any of the like ICC meetings. So we were unaware of like the meetings that were being held until like this week.
Okay, well, I do see that, well, my mailing list gives me a lot of rich data. So I do see that people from, at least one person from both Global Club signed up in the last week. So hopefully she's getting the links, but in the future, yeah, just please make sure. Okay, thank you, Global Club. Anybody from Ujima want to
Oh,
speak
sorry,
on?
I was just sorry. I thought you said Ujima. That was me.
Oh, it's okay.
For Global Club, we had like a shift in who was our original ICC representative, she was busy, so she had to switch positions or step down. And so the emails weren't forwarded to the next ICC representative. So I was not aware that we had these meetings. And like, Ujima Club said, I wasn't really sent any of the emails either. So that's the reason why.
Okay. All right, anybody from Ujima before we kind of go and get into it?
No, they already spoke. I think it's just really clear that, and this could happen to any of your clubs, just make sure that when there's a transfer of people, that you ask these questions, right? Or that because you're here, you know what's going on, that you share this information. Because obviously, because we have a lot of people from Ujima and a lot of people from Global Club on our mailing list. And we don't know that those folks aren't with the club anymore, or they're not involved with the club. So it's just, just make sure you let folks know, the presidents and the vice presidents, go back to the club and share this information. Just remind them, hey, we have to go to ICC every week. The more people you know, or every other week, the more people are going to ask questions. If you didn't know, if you're new and you don't know to go to ICC, obviously you're not going to show up. But all of you all need to go back and just remind your entire club, hey, you all need to make sure an ICC rep goes, because it could really endanger your club.
Okay, I mean, I had a poll ready, to get a feel for how you all want to proceed with this, but honestly, I think I don't want to leave you on a bad note before we start our break, so I'm not going to decharter anybody today. So those of you who are on the, on a chopping block, I hate that phrase now that I said it, but those of you who are on this list, you get a free out, but just please make sure to come to the meetings in the future. The next meeting is after spring break on the 23rd. same time at 12 p.m. So please make sure to come. With that, I will move on to kind of the next portion of the slide, which is the clubs that kind of really need to start maybe worrying about almost reaching this threshold. And I can say, based on who was here and who was not here today, there are a couple people on this list that will be in the same position as Global Club and Ujima Club during our next meeting because they have reached that 3 absence threshold. So again, the limit is 3, right? But if we don't decharter you, like you're still on the hook for the rest of the meetings. Like if you have one more thing, if you have one more absence, really it's kind of like, it's very hard to continue. So I recommend if you know anybody in these clubs that have 2 absences, please urge them to come because the next absence means that they're up for dechartering, and those are the rules. It is what it is. It's how it's written in the bylaws, and I, as your executive vice president, has to honor those and carry those duties out. So it's something that I really dislike doing. If you can't tell, I really don't like putting people on a spot. I don't like being put on a spot. So please, if you know anybody in those clubs, please make sure to tell them to come to the next meeting. And yes, for Victoria, for the minutes, you can just state that no action was taken on this item, but just include a brief summary of what I talked about. But that's it. Okay, we're out of the woods now with that. So next up is discussion items. Again, like I said, this was going to be a pretty brief meeting. So the first item up today is Associated Students elections. Yes, so if you want to take a screenshot or a screen grab of that, that is the election timeline. I'll let Carrie expand on that a little bit more, but before we jump into that, the first thing I want to really emphasize is the election committee. So we need students on that because I don't believe we have at least 1 or 2 people appointed that need to be there for the committee. But what is the election committee? So the election committee is a group of students who you cannot run for associate students to be on this committee. So I will say that first, but this group of students will certify the results of the election when elections are over. So, so does that make sense? So that this group of students, obviously they can't run for associate students and be on this committee because that would be a conflict of interest. But once voting is over and Carrie has the results, there's always a meeting to open up the envelope, just at the Emmys or at the Globe and Globe, they always do that, right? To open up the envelope, see what the results are. And then at that meeting, that group of students will vote to say, yes, I approve of these results, or no, I approve of these results. So that's a very, very, very important committee to be on. There's one person that needs to be appointed by our president, Mackenzie Rivera, and there's one person that needs to be approved by the Dean of Student Life, who is Dr. Rebecca Cobb. So if you are not running for associated students, but you still want to kind of dip your toe and be involved in this very important process, if I can ask that you please private message me in a chat your email address so I can reach out to Mackenzie and Dr. Cobb to have, to let them know that you've expressed interest in this. But please, I urge you all, we need people for this committee. We need to certify those results. So it's a very important part of the process. Yeah, if you're interested, drop your email in a chat to me privately. Okay, so next up is elections. The form is on Lance for Life, as Carrie has stated earlier. Make sure to turn that intent to run form in. If you want to make a difference, please step up, right? A lot of the things that we do on that my board does affects all of you as students as a whole. So it's really important that I think if you want to have that voice and you want to express, and you want to represent students, that you apply. And yeah, Carrie, I have the schedule here if you want to go over that. And I just kind of listed a couple of things. I don't know if you want to talk about, like the slates, the schedules, the rules.
So generally what happens is once you apply through Lancer Life, you are then approved because it asks you some questions. We have to make sure that you meet some certain criteria. And if you do, then you're added to a Canvas web shell. And on that Canvas shell, there are certain assignments that need to be completed to run. So just so you know, we're going to ask you to fill out an application. We're going to ask you to write an essay, 250-word essay about what would you do in an emergency, such as COVID, how would you lead? you will be asked to do a candidate statement, and that candidate statement is what we publish to the campus during your vote. And we ask you to submit a picture and a few other things. So you do all of those things, and those are submitted. And once all that paperwork is submitted, and that the deadline for that is the 26th, you then we review it, and if you have everything submitted correctly, then you move on to candidacy. So it's a two-part piece. One is to fill out Lance Your Life. The second is to go to the Canvas shell and complete all the assignments there. And once that's done, we move on to elections. And this year, because like last year with COVID, we're not doing face-to-face, everything has to be done. We're letting you do via social media. So we will do a training, a mandatory training that talks about kind of our do's and our don'ts with social media and what you can do with the election and what the election means. And then we let you loose and you campaign. An exciting piece is that we're going to have a town hall. And this is where all of you can be involved. It's Tuesdays and Thursdays from 12 to 1 in the 2 weeks leading up to the election. So it's Tuesday and Thursday the week before, and then we have Tuesday and Thursday the week after. Elections are actually held on Wednesday, May 12th, and Thursday, May 13th. They're going to be held via Lance Your Life. So you would log in with your credentials and fill out, it looks just like a Google form. You just kind of click yes and no, what you want. And we go ahead and have that election. But where you really come into play is with the town hall, because via the town hall, you have the opportunity to ask questions. So we'll come back again and we'll probably email your clubs directly to submit any questions you might have for any of these candidates who are running. If you have some questions like what would you do, or how about this? So it's really your chance to get every question you have answered. These will be broadcast on YouTube live, and we will watch, we will do that. And they get to, the candidates generally speak against each other. They give a statement and then they go back and forth. So it's important to have those questions. So that's where you all really play a big role in this. And again, the really big thing is to vote, to get people out to vote. If you feel like things haven't been going well, or if you have a complaint, or if you just don't like the way things are, if you don't vote, then you don't really have a right to complain. So if you're, get out there and vote. Like they say, get out, get involved with a campaign. If you know someone who's running and you want to be part of their campaign and help them campaign, you can be a campaign worker, but definitely go out and exercise your right to vote. It's so important, because your associate students, they have access to quite a bit of money, and they advise the college on how to spend their money. Right now, we have 2 students who are sitting on a board that they're going to decide how $500,000 in CARES in direct aid. So there's $500,000 in direct aid going to PCC students. And we have 2 of our own students sitting on that board, making sure that it's going to the students who need it the most. So your voice really does matter. That's why I'm encouraging you to run. And again, if you're interested in being a part of the elections committee, you do a little bit more than just certify the results. If there is a disagreement between 2 candidates that needs to be resolved, or if I see, or any of the other staff see, a candidate violating any of our rules, we will bring that issue to the election committee, and the election committee decides what, if there was an infraction, and if there was an infraction, what the penalties are. So there's a lot of ways to be involved. So if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to stick around and answer them for you. So thank you for the time.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Carrie, for that. I forgot about the infraction voting and stuff. But are there any, this is a discussion item, so are there any questions about this, about elections coming up? Again, I'm trying to push for this hard, I know, but I want you all to be aware of this, even if you're not running, right, just to make sure to log in to Last Life on the 12th and the 13th to vote. But are there any quick questions here before we move on?
I actually have a question, Chris, in regards to, wait, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. In regards to the term for the elections, it's starting from when's
July
it's
1st?
going to be July 1st
To
until
June
the end
30th.
of.
July 1st to June 30th.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. So July 1st to June 30th. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Faison, for that. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move on then. So the next discussion item we have is just going over future ICC optional trainings that I have talked about. So today is going to be how to market your club. And Philly is here if you want to go ahead and give like a 2-sentence summary of what's going to happen at 2 p.m. You have the floor.
Okay, so I highly recommend that you kind of, if you haven't, tell your club that we're going to have these trainings because I have something very good for us planned. Because you're going to be learning marketing. Number one, you're going to learn branding, and lastly, you're also going to learn graphic design. So if you have anyone who's interested in graphic design, they can also come as well. And uh, so if you have anybody, just reach out. Like you're going to be learning three of those things, not just marketing, and I really recommend it. So that's all I have to say on that.
All right, yes. So very exciting presentation Philly has prepared. I know marketing is more of a blanket term, but thank you, Philly, for specifying, yeah, what's going to happen there. So yes, it is today at 2. And I'll go ahead and drop the Zoom link in the chat. So you have it ready to go at 2 p.m. if you want to come and attend that. I highly recommend you come. It's going to be fun. And yeah.
Question. Will these meetings be recorded for the marketing training to market our clubs?
We can record it, but yeah, it won't be posted until after spring break. So I recommend if you want to go ahead and know about this material ASAP, please come at 2. But I personally won't be working over spring break to edit it and post it. So, but it will be posted at some point.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Philly here before he gets started or starts preparing for the 2 p.m.? Okay, so today is going to be Philly's workshop, and then there's going to be one on the 23rd at 2 p.m. And that one is going to be a president's roundtable. And I strategically put it on the 23rd because if you go back one slide here, applications are due the 26th, so the following Tuesday. So that is your chance as club leaders, not only to learn about leadership, but to also talk directly to our AS president, Mackenzie Rivera, about what it's like to be on AS. So if you're interested in running or being a part of associate students, that's a great opportunity for you to come in and ask questions to people that have, boots on the ground and have been in their, in what, if you're running in your shoes, right? So please come to that. And I think there'll be a lot of great content there. So that's what's coming down the pipeline for future trainings. Any questions about that? Okay. Next is how to check your progress. And I think, you know what? I need to go ahead and fix that. So let me just go ahead and disregard that for now. But the way this item was supposed to go is if you go and look at this, it's kind of the checklist that I've been showing you about the event. So every time you attend a training, there's going to be an RSVP sign-in page that we're going to direct you to. I need to set that up after this meeting, but I will have it done by then. But to keep track, just make sure you attend it so that at least 2 of these items are completed so that this checkbox is checked off. But then once this progress bar fills, you should be good. So that's what that item was about. All right, so remaining questions. I know, it's been a while since we had the official required trainings. So I sent to you all earlier this week the documents that we went over in the trainings, as I always do and have been since those trainings are over. And so this is the funding how to document, and this is what it looks like. And this is the handout. So I know there's a question earlier before the meeting even started to talk about where the videos that correspond to these handouts. And the way you can find it is in the email I sent out earlier this week. If you scroll all the way down past all this really important information, it's right here. So these are links to our YouTube recordings or the recordings that I posted on YouTube about finance and Lancer Life. So that's how you get to it. If you don't want to look at the email, or if you haven't been getting emails, the other way to get to it is to just subscribe to our YouTube page right here. And if you scroll down a little bit, it's right here, ICC Training Spring 2021, Lancer Life and Finance. And what I'll do, I'll just go ahead and drop the link to our channel. So you have it, and then you can go ahead and subscribe. Every time we have a meeting, you'll get notified, and anything is posted, you'll be notified. But that's how you get to those handouts, and that's how you get to those training videos. Are there any questions still about funding or Lance for Life though, before we move on? Kara, do you have anything?
Nope, it looks good.
Okay. All right. I don't know why I put the slide here. I think it's just a vestige of the last presentation had, but yes, this is the flow chart that I've been shoving in your faces about how funding is supposed to go. So it's on the handout too. So just make sure to review it if you need a visual process of how funding works. Okay, so last item here, and Henry, are you here today? I don't remember you scooting into the Zoom. Okay, I guess not. That's okay. All right, so this last item here that I just wanted to do like a brief FAQ about was constitution. So I know me and Henry have been maybe breathing down some of your necks about having a constitution, and I've gotten a lot of feedback about why do we need this document in the first place and why is it important. So the purpose of a constitution is if any like electoral issue arises or any like maybe like conduct issue arises in your club, that's the document you refer to and say, this is what, you know, our club has signed into, you know, as the rules for our club. And this is the procedure that we follow to resolve this issue. Right, so that's the purpose of having a constitution. It's like a document, like an official rule sheet that you can lean back on if any problems arise in your club. Most people can just go through a club through the whole semester and not have any issues, but we, by law and by, you know, board policy, we need to have that document on hand as an official source of what to do in case something arises. And Carrie, I don't know if you want to talk more about what the constitution is for students or for ICC.
No, but I think we've said this before. Once it's fixed, once it's complete, once it's done, most of you will never have to talk. I mean, we'll just leave it on and your club will go forth from here on without having to worry about it.
Right. So it's something that will always exist because it's something that is always going to be required. So the question is, right, once you kind of go through this painful process of revising your constitution to be up to code, do you need to do this again? The answer is no. And this is something that Victoria and I have been working on, and Henry actually have been working on as a long-term project, so that before my term ends, we have basically a folder of all the documents that belong to clubs that are the constitutions. So it's like a little repository that we have. So anything, so you don't need to go ahead and turn in a new constitution if you're a returning club every semester. We'll just pull from that repository. The only time you need to go ahead and go there is if you want to change your constitution anyway. But really most clubs, they just kind of, again, go through the whole semester without needing to make any changes because their document is good as is. Are there any questions?
Hi, I'm from Cosmo Club. I was wondering if you had gotten our club advisor's email about our constitution. We went through and we made a lot of the changes, but I wasn't sure if you'd gotten the email.
I personally haven't seen any email.
Okay.
I don't know if I was on that thread.
Okay.
If you want to check in with Henry, because he has kind of the ultimate authority and the ultimate like oversee of the whole process, you can let him know. But this is the list that I have from him as of earlier this week. So obviously it might have changed since then, but just make sure to rendezvous with him and make sure that your document is good. But yeah, so with that, the people that are on this list here, I just want to warn you, because if we don't have your fixes or a valid constitution by April 19th, you're also up for dechartering, because one of the rules is that as a club, as to be continued as a chartered club, you need to have a valid document on hand. If not, you can't continue to operate as a club. I know we've been kind of stringing people along and letting them in to ICC, even though their documents might not be 100%, but Henry and I have kind of agreed that we want to try and start making things official, making everybody follow the rules, basically. Okay, so these clubs, I don't want to call anybody out. Just make sure that you contact Henry and CC me so that I know what's going on. But make sure to especially contact Henry to check in on your progress of your constitution and what your next steps are. Okay. Yeah, and you're gonna have to upload your revised documents to Lancer Life. Henry can walk you through that process because all your documents should be publicly accessible by anybody who wants to read them. But he will walk you through that if you need to do that still. Are there any questions about constitutions? I'm running to find Henry's email for you right now.
I got it, Chris. Just keep going. We're running long. We need to go.
Okay. Okay, all right, yeah, we're at 12:50, so that was the last item. I'll go ahead and then move on to adjournment then. Okay, so the next meeting is April 23rd after spring break. Make sure to come. I know there are a couple people that are going to be unfortunately reaching that threshold, so yeah, let them know to come. There's going to be an optional training at 2 p.m. today. I dropped the link in the chat. Make sure to go to that. It's also on the Google Calendar. But then, yeah, that's pretty much it. At this time, then I'd like to go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting at 12:50 p.m. Do I have a first?
Ship
Let's
first.
Ship first. Who seconds?
Lancer Motorsports will second.
Master Motorsports seconds. Thank you. Any any?
Oh,
Who is that?
pardon. She codes and Sway, we third.
Okay. Let's just do she codes thirds and fourth, and then we'll go ahead and move on. If there are any opposed to that, unmute yourself and say so. Any abstentions? Okay, all right, meeting adjourned. Have a great spring break. Again, as always, I'll be here after the meeting to answer any questions. Before you go, let me go ahead and drop the link in the chat once again for the training that's going to happen at 2 p.m. today with Philly. And yeah, just make sure to come back if you're interested in training, but if not, have a great spring break.
Thank you guys. Have a good spring break.
Thank
Bye,
you.
y'all.
Chris, can you put me on the mailing list for the ICC? Like every week you send email.
Yeah. Let me get the link for you to sign up. And I know there are a couple of clubs right here that might have issues getting the email, so please stick around and we'll investigate what's going on. So
Victoria, can you make sure that we send, we look up Ujima and we send them the link and Global Club as well?
What is it that you want me to do?
So let's go, I'll have you look up their paperwork on Lancer Life. Let's look at for their officers and their current officers and their advisors for both those clubs. Let's make sure they have the links or they have the link from Chris to sign up.
Okay, so it would just be the information I gave you in that Excel, Chris?
okay, so the way to get to the link to sign up for my email address is if you ever emailed me back and forth in my email signature, the link is there. So that is the way to find it if you ever lose it. But let me go ahead and just I'm looking for a direct link right now. All you need to check if you're subscribed.
Is Christians on campus still here? Okay, you can only have a meeting if your advisor approves, but I'm really going to tell you all, give a break, take a break. Your advisor's probably tired as well. So let's all just have a quiet spring break. Kyra Co, are you with Global?
Yeah, for
So
the Global Club, we figured it out now. So
Okay,
I am on the mailing list. Yeah, but it was just like for that purpose, the reason why we haven't attended those three things or three ICC meetings and was like up for dechartering was because just the change in like positions and like, not forwarding as we discussed in the meeting.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Ujima left. I don't know why they left, but the thing is, a lot of advisors signed up for the email mailing list, and I don't have a pasadena.edu email address. So a lot of times when I send out emails to advisors, it gets lost in like a spam filter. So they have to manually whitelist my email address to start getting emails. That's what I wanted to tell them. I don't know why they didn't stick around for me to fix that for them.